You want me to love you, but you don't love me now. Why should I give my heart to you? We gonna shut that motor down. I've been searching for you for a long time now, but you've left my heart's vision. Now you want me to stay in your life. That won't happen again. No, you said no. I said no. Can't blame you. No. I like that book. I like that book. Is back up on you now. My name is Charlie Ray Crawford, and let me holler at you. Let me talk to y'all a little bit about a book that I just finished reading this week, you understand. It was called The Water Dancer, and it's by, I am going to butcher this name, and my apologies go out because of that, Ta-Nehisi Coates. Am I saying that right? Ta-Nehisi Coates. Man, I apologize if I butchered your name. This novel was extremely long, and not long in the normal sense. I'm not talking about whether you can sit down and read it in one reading. I'm talking about it's just incredibly deep, and for me, I had to take some time away from the book. It's many small stories which turned out to have their own beginning, middle, and end, it seemed like, in this collection called The Water Dancer. I'm only be that was weird, but I'm a young Hiram Walker was born into bondage. When his mother was sold away, Hiram was robbed of all memory of her, but was gifted with a mysterious power. Years later, when Hiram almost drowns in a river, that same power saves his life. This brush with death births an urgency in Hiram and a daring scheme to escape from the only home he's ever known. So begins an unexpected journey that takes Hiram from the corrupt grandeur of Virginia's proud plantations to desperate guerrilla sales in the wilderness, from the coffin of the Deep South to dangerously idealistic movements in the North. Even as he's enlisted in the underground war between slavers and the enslaved, Hiram's resolve to rescue the family he left behind endures. From those two paragraphs, you see, like, ain't no way in the hell this is just gonna be a regular basic plot line. You know what I mean? This stuff is gonna weave in and out. It's gonna go up, it's gonna go down, it's gonna go inside out. When it go in, it's gonna stay there for a couple chapters and stuff like that, and then it's gonna come out, it's gonna go all over the place. This guy was a character of agency. He had agency. He was very proactive and with not only his actions but with his thoughts, and you know how he was seen by a lot of the people around him, whether it was the task, that's what they call you know, the fellow slaves and things like that, the task, or you know, the whites or whatever who know what he's really about. His big thing was memory. This dude had a photographic memory, and it was kind of cool to see. Actually, it was a party trick at one point. He goes from being young to being relatively older or whatever, and he is the narrator. He's telling his story back. So I mean, take that what you will. But it's just an incredibly deep story about the pain and how important it was for freedom to come about, but not just your freedom, all of your friends and your family freedom and things like that. I mean, even at the first page, you're just going to feel incredible sadness and culture between the task. That's basically what this story is about. You're following the task and all of their stories and things like that. Not so much, the white people and woe it's me, the black man, and what can we do to get back at the. You start to follow the characters and how they relate with each other and their deepest thoughts, because everybody like to confide in Hiram. He speaks about that. He has this gift where people would just like for him to listen, and they just spill their souls and talk. You know what I mean? It's crazy because like I say, he remembers everything. And it's tragic in the way that he does it, though. It's photographic memory, and it's a gift that gives him special treatment. You know what I mean? Even to the whites, like I say, he can do it as a party trick. And their treatment, specifically the whites, is so good sometimes that he's torn between it and his people's gripe with them. There's a great deal of mentioning how so many people, so many of the tasks have changed due to a great deal of loss. And I rock with how it seems to be a story not on the slave owners against the black man, but the slaves' relationship with each other, the community aspect, and how they deal with each other, and how they inspire each other, how they give each other hope, how they're singing, how they're grieving with each other, and all of these different dynamics that the slaves had. That's what builds the theme of the story, I believe. He passes the time. The author passes the time really, really well with just simple prose. He's not out here to be purple, right? They call it purple prose when somebody's trying to write like a Shakespeare or like it's a poem or whatnot. He just keeps it simple. But the message is what's going to be profound. It ain't got to be necessarily a beautiful sentence every time. And of course, there's a sci-fi and fantastical element when it comes to this kid having this power of being able to what do they call it, conduction, where he can, in a sense, it's like teleportation. And I wish that whole aspect was taken out, because the thing of it is, I understand why it was put in. So this author incorporated that gift and that kind of that superhero skill or whatnot, superpower I should say, and it just, in a sense, it didn't really belittle what we know about our ancestors, but what it did was it kind of like sugar coated a lot of things. Now, don't get it twisted. There were some brutal I thought experiences and examples and scenes in this book, but when you add in something like that, it kind of takes away a little bit. That's another aspect of this story. That fantastical element, I really wasn't digging it, and I didn't think that it really did much. And in a sense, it was kind of like Deus Ex Machina, where God came down and saved them a lot of times. I enjoyed the culture, the theme, and the messages it was eluding, just based off of the normal day-to-day, being a slave, trying to fight your way out of it, build camaraderie, and get people who look like you to see it the way you see it, like you're stronger than they are and stuff like that. I thought that was more important. But at the end of the day, it was fantastic story, fantastic book. So basically, at the end of the day, the best way to summarize it in one sentence is: in a fallen slave land, a boy struggles with his coming of age passion to be free. The way he writes, man, is just gut-wrenching description. It's like high definition. Like he talked about one time he was in chains from the ankles to the wrist, and there's like a line of chain running up to his neck, and you couldn't stand up straight. You know what I mean? You couldn't bend over without it digging in you, and you just felt the pain. You felt the uneasiness and how uncomfortable something like that could be in a small, little area or whatnot. It's just a lot of things in this book where it's not so much the writing, it's not so much the plot, it's not so much the stuff that's in a summary would sell. It's the stuff that goes deeper where you can learn and apply to your life that I really liked. Just get ready for all of the characters that's going to confide in Hiram to touch you at your soul with their stories, like the old man and his son, the woman that took Hiram under her wing, her stories. Man, it's just like all of this stuff is just gonna cut you. It's just a book on just deep sadness and anguish, and it's just like you can't do anything. You can't do anything. Pure pain and anguish, but done in class. Just a great writer. Like, he didn't even have to use the N-word. You understand? I think the first mention of the N-word, which is kind of inevitable in a book like this, came like 5 hours in, if I remember correctly. Like, his pen, his stroke, you dig what I'm saying, was melodic. You know what I mean? And purposeful. He did not waste anything. Again, the plot points was hitting. The thing is, though, it's scrambled. You know what I mean? Whether it's the catalyst or the B story or the all is lost moment, you know what I mean? Thing like that. You just can't pinpoint where they are, but they are in the story. Like, for example, at the 37% mark, I think, is just a big shocker. Usually you got the shockers around the 25% to 30% to the 50% to the 80% or something like that. So he was definitely a master at his craft, but he bent the rules in order to make it authentic, and you definitely gonna feel this book. I'm gonna read some quotes here, and based off of these quotes, those are gonna be my takeaways. I'm gonna let y'all have it on this video. In all of these quotes, I'm not so much spoiling anything, but I want you guys to hear these quotes and snatch something out of it and make applicable to your life. You know what I mean? If you're a young black boy, young black girl, listen to the voices of the spirit. It's fiction, but it's basically the spirit and the energy of our ancestors and how a lot of the strong ones thought. I'm just gonna roll right through them. I want you guys to read it for yourselves, but damn good book, man. Damn good book. Now she yelled again, "Sing, damn you." It always happened like this. This is what had been told. Bored whites were barbarian whites. While they played at aristocrats, we were their well-appointed and stoic attendants. But when they tired of dignity, the bottom fell out. New games were anointed, and we were but pieces on the board. It was terrifying. There was no limit to what they might do at this end of the tether. So that one could imagine that we were not slaves at all, but mystical ornaments. A portion of the Maynard's charm. But I now knew the truth, that Maynard's folly, although more profane, was unoriginal. The masters could not bring water to boil, harness a horse, or strap their own drawers without us. We were better than them. We had to be. Sloth was literal death for us, while for them, it was the whole ambition of their lives. Imagine telling young slave, blacks this from the jump back in the days. It would have empowered them to think more like, let's say, for example, Harriet Tubman, who may or may not have made a cameo in this story. But the point I'm trying to say is this. You tell a young black slave that, it can activate all kinds of wisdom in him very, very early on and keep him going on. You know what I mean? Keep the hope alive. And I just thought that was a powerful quote that even the youngins today can hopefully let open their ears, man. Not just these, but this one. I do not claim to have loved Sophia then, though I thought I did. I was young, and love to me was a fuse that was lit, not a garden that was grown. Love was not concerned with any deep knowledge of its object. of their wants and dreams, but mainly with the joy felt in their presence and the sickness felt in their departure. If you ever felt like that, you know damn well you loved somebody very deeply. And I think now that this is how the running so often begins, that it is settled upon. In that moment, you understand the great depth of your peril, for it is not simply by slavery that you are captured, but by a kind of fraud which paints its executors as guardians at the gate, staving off African savagery, when it is they themselves who are the savages, who are Mordred, who are the dragon in Camelot's clothes. And at that moment of revelation of understanding, running is not a thought, not even a dream, but a need. No different than the need to flee a burning house. I had tried to save them, save the whole of Lochless, but that was over now. They were lambs waiting for the slaughter. The elders all knew what was coming. They knew what the land whispered, because none lived closer to the land than those who worked it. They lay awake at night, listening to the groaning ghosts of tasking folk past, those who been carried off. They knew what was coming, and still they waited for it. I felt rough hands on me. Someone was inspecting me. I had adjusted to it by then, and that alone was the worst of it, that a man can feel his violation as natural. That made me pissed. I had heard stories of white men who bought color simply to enact their wildest pleasures. White men who kept them locked away for the sheer thrill of being able to. White men who bought colors for the ecstasy of murder. White men who bought colors to cut on them for experiments in demon science. And I tasked hard. I was a man well regarded in slavery, which is to say I was never regarded as a man at all. It's quite a thing, a messy, dirty thing, to put your own son, your own daughter, to the task. The way I see it, they ain't no pure. It is we that are blessed, for we know this. Blessed, for we do not bear the weight of pretending pure. You don't always have to think the victim mindset. You know what I mean? We had our land stolen. We was taken here. I mean, a lot of us was born here, all damn ready. But the point is, in your own personal life, I'm talking about, whatever you want to make of yourself, you can do starting today. Correct? There it is. We can look back years from now when you're successful, and we can go in. But get yourself out of poverty. Get yourself out of a messed up situation. Get yourself out of 8 people living in a 1-bedroom. You can do that. So in these takeaways, I want to inspire you to find them yourself. Kind of be a thinking man like Hiram is. You'll see when you read the book. Hopefully you read the book. Did you read the book? Did you like that book? And so, at the end of the day, me, myself, and I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. Even though I was not into that whole teleportation thing that he had going, it still was a very, very profound book that is probably going to be on shelves, hopefully in schools and things like that. You know, make children write essays on it and lead round group discussions and stuff like that. We need more books like this. It don't always have to be commercial fiction and genre fiction. And so, Ta-Nehisi Coates, I apologize if I butchered your name, but I'm incredibly impressed with this debut novel of yours. No matter what we went through, no matter what we will go through, we still gonna come to our redemption and our overcoming, because apparently that's just who the hell we are. These stories still strengthen me. I can watch Roots. I can hear all kinds of stories about our oppression and still feel strong. You understand what I'm saying? And still feel like I'm of this earth, because whatever. And that's what this book did for me. Hopefully you guys can read it and enjoy it yourselves. It took me a long damn time to process this book and come to you guys with it, but I think you guys will enjoy it. Just on my grown man sophistication stuff. So I holler at you guys. I love you guys. I'm that way. So peace Charleroi out. And now it's time to say goodbye. Won't you please come back and say hi?